First, we will collect the republics of the Volga region in sequence by the number of kilowatt-hours consumed per capita per year. The USA, Russia, China and Germany have been added for comparison. An American consumes energy almost twice as much as a Russian, and twice as much as a German and a Chinese. This means that we will have to wait for the fall of the industrial giant and its dollar for the rest of our lives. The superpowers China and Germany surprisingly consume fewer kilowatt-hours per capita than Russia. That's all we need to know about global giants and Russian analytics. Now we will collect the republics of the Volga region in a different sequence according to their level of gross regional product per year and per month in rubles. Nearby, for clarity, electricity consumption per capita per year. Chuvashia and Mari El have switched places, nothing else has changed in the sequence. The conclusion? The value of the gross regional product per capita is directly proportional to the quantity of energy consumed per capita. The gross regional product is the total value added. Value added is a per capita livelihood in rubles, depreciation, and profit, which is unpaid labor, used for investments. Mordvin, Cherimis and Chuvash exist above the subsistence level only, if they do not spend anything on depreciation and do not alienate it in the form of profit, which is a complete hopelessness. This is utter and hopeless poverty with no way to get out of this poverty in the future. Next is the rating of the gross regional product in rubles per capita per year and month of the Volga nations and their neighbors. Distant Ugra with oil, Yamal with gas and Tumen are taken for comparison. The beggars of Dagestan and Chechnya were taken so that the poor Chuvash would not be so sad. And yes, if the amazing Chuvash collect 1 million tons of grain, sell it at the root for 10,000 rubles a ton, they will earn 10 billion rubles for everyone. Per capita, it will be as much as 710 rubles per month. Crazy money. And this is not added value or income on hand, which will be even less. The impoverished Kirov, Penza, Mordovia, Cheremiza, Ulyanovsk and Chuvash located side by side with the even more impoverished Caucasus. Apparently, it's not about oil, which is not available in the Sverdlovsk and Perm regions. Next is another rating of industrial development and standard of living, this time the subjects are collected by electricity consumption per year. The oil and gas project holds the first place. The Urals, which has been the core of Russian power for the past 300 years, is in second place. It's funny that the superpowers China and Germany are at the level of the Ryazan region. If residents of Ryazan want to live in economic superpowers like Germany or China, then don't need to go anywhere, you're already there. Next is the rating of output from 1 kilowatt per year. For comparison, Tumen, without oil and gas, Ugra with oil and Yamal with gas have been added. Impoverished Chechnya and Mari El have the same output per kilowatt, but Cheremiza has twice the energy consumption and gross regional product. Similarly, the Ulyanovsk and Orenburg regions have the same output, but if energy consumption is 2 times less, then the gross regional product is 2 times less. Similarly, the Chuvash and Perm regions, if consumption is twice as high, then the gross regional product is twice as high. Approximately, every 2 megawatt-hours is an added value of about 10,000 rubles per capita per month. Therefore, in order to increase the gross regional product, it is necessary to consume more energy. Now we will look at the balance of electricity production and consumption in the Volga republics. All nation, except Bashkirs, import electricity because consume more than produce. If we assume that the price per megawatt of installed capacity is about 50 million rubles, and the Volga region's deficit is 14.8 billion kilowatt-hours or 4.2 gigawatts of installed capacity, then in rubles this is at least 210 billion rubles of investments in fixed assets, which are not available. Therefore, the republics annually spend 59.2 billion rubles to purchase electricity at 4 rubles per kilowatt. Now there is a rating of the ratio of investment needs to cover the deficit and the annual cost of buying electricity. The nations of the Volga region have different investment needs, they spend different amounts on the purchase of scarce electricity. But this amount is equal to 1/3 of the investment requirement each year. That is, the required amount would have accumulated in 3 years. Apparently, this is some kind of gold standard of the Volga region, in which Bashkirs do not participate. This is a rating of the ratio of the need for investments per capita and the annual cost of buying electricity per capita. Why buy power plants? When can buy electricity? The owner of the power plant receives 5 times less income from every poor chuvash than from the average Udmurt person per year. The variation in the gross regional product suggests that the presence of a power plant or the import of electricity for added value is secondary, the volume of energy consumption is more important. The beggars of Chirimis spend 3 times as much as the beggars of Chuvash on electricity imports, but they do not get richer. This is a grain harvest rating for the most prosperous year. The norm per person is 1 ton, even under favorable conditions. Without food imports, Chirimis, Udmurts and Chuvash are unable to feed themselves. The poor Mordvins are at the top of the ranking, but this does not prevent them from remaining poor. The conclusion? The main value added is not created in agriculture. And yes. Waiting for famine in the USA, wait more. Americans are able to feed not only themselves, but also several tens of millions more people. This is not the Volga region. Why are the amazing Chuvash, Mordvins and Chirimis 1.5 times poorer than not only Bashkirs, who do not spend on electricity imports, but also Udmurts, who spend astronomical amounts on imports? It's all about industry. Wealth is not the availability of consumer products on credit, but the availability of an industry that produces consumer products. It is industry that is the main consumer of electricity, the volume of consumption of which forms the value of the gross regional product. It's not about oil or gas. It's about people and means of production that generate added value, some of which remains on hand in the form of salaries, and some accumulates in the form of profits to increase added value by increasing production volumes with electricity consumption. Where and how to get money for industry? The easiest way from agriculture. This method is available only to Mordvins. Mordvins can take about 1 million tons of grain or about 10 billion rubles from agriculture. Even half the amount is enough to buy factories. Provided that the income from exports settles in one hand, and not thousands of small farmers, and is spent on industrialization. For others, this is irrelevant, but for the Chuvash and Chirimis it is not available, because there is nothing to take from agriculture. Someone would help. Another way is to appropriate a portion of an employee's salary, as any capitalist does. For example, by collecting 2,000 rubles from each amazing Chuvash, can not only introduce him to the living wage, but also collect 2 billion rubles from everyone. This is also quite enough to buy factories, and also provided that all the alienated value settles in one hand, and not thousands of small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, as is the case now. However, there is a third way. Can, like the previous 30 years, believe in miracles and wait for a magical investor who will arrive in a blue helicopter and silently turn impoverished republics into Eden and paradise. Wait, it won't be long, he's on his way. That's all.